Hello, hello, and welcome to another fabulous episode of the MotUS Edge Podcast. I am Stacy Rowe, here today with Casey Jones. It's not the Stacy and Casey show, however, because we have an incredible guest with us today, David Solomon from David Power Talk. This is a special treat that we have here today. We're super excited.
Yeah. This guy's the man right here.
Heck yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I love it.
Thank you so much, David, for hopping on. I know for those of you that are MotUS members, you'll remember David from our December webinar. He came and truly gave us a beautiful gift, I feel like, that day of just joy and uplifting. And it was just so wonderful. I feel like everybody left that podcast just so refreshed and energized to go.
And it was all from a webinar, man. This guy, David, I told him this personally. I called him afterwards because we talked about some different things, but
yes,
man, just the energy just through the screen,
Wow.
I've seen, I don't know, I've been and I've heard a lot of great speakers over the years in person, but I've never seen anybody that could do it like you did it through a webinar.
Wow.
So it's
thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot because I have one of those Kobe mindsets that I'm always working on myself to be the best communicator possible when I have a chance to share my voice or to share my impact to the world.
That's, and that's awesome. And I think that's a key. That's so important. This is not necessarily our topic today, but communication is such a challenging thing. And, we think that we're communicating effectively, but we don't know how our communication is being received. And it's something that I feel like we all probably need to just pay better attention to. And how do we, how do we improve? So maybe you could give us some tips today, but tell us tell us about you. Where do you come from? How did you become David Solomon, the guy that we know that was on fire in our webinar?
Wow. So I became David Solomon, David Power Talk. I want to tell everybody, my pain birthed my purpose. And I think that a lot of times we either allow our pain to push us to purpose, to power, to just prosperity, different things, or it can push us into procrastination. It could push us into depression, anxiety. So I know there's two sides of it. And I had to do a keynote for, I think it was Farm Bureau, it's an insurance company. And I was in the middle of it, I did the joke. I said, I never was in high school say, I want to be a motivational speaker. Like who does that, right? Who says, okay, what do you want to be, Johnny? I want to be a motivational speaker. So like I said, I never even knew when I was younger what a motivational speaker was until I actually went through something. And then so basically to back it up a little bit about me, of course, my background, I was born in a very small town, Henderson, North Carolina. Pretty much they had one gas station, one little bit of everything when I was growing up. Then they got a couple more now, but it was amazing. I love my small town, and I
know Henderson well. I lived in North Carolina for 15 years and have driven from Knoxville to Raleigh hundreds, countless times.
So you know exactly that demographic.
Sure.
Exactly. Yep. So, and I realize now that a lot of kids, when they're growing up, no matter if you're in the best environment or you're in the worst environment, sometimes you think, hey, this is great. I love it. Like, because you don't know, you have nothing to compare to. There is nothing, because as I was growing up in a trailer park, I couldn't compare the trailer park to a mansion because I wasn't living in a mansion. And then,
you only know what you know.
Yeah. Right. You only know what you know. Right. And then that time, of course, social media is not as popular as it is now. And I think that's one of the key triggers with mental health and a lot of people that's gone through situations, because they're looking so deep in social media, they're comparing their life to other people's lives and what people have and what they don't have. And that really triggers, maybe I didn't make it yet. Maybe, I'm not the best version of myself. But as far as me growing up, yes, what really birthed it, like I talked about on the webinar with you guys, my first pain point was, walking in the kitchen early in the morning and finding my mother on the floor, lifeless, not even moving. And come to find out she was having an overdose. And one of the men told me to take my hand, put it in a bucket of ice and rub ice on my own mother's chest to try to, to shock her. Cause I didn't know what that was for. So I guess if anybody watching this, if somebody's doing any type of addiction, And if they're going through overdose, you try to shock them to try to, I guess, bring them back so that, they don't fully overdose. Wow. And that's what I did. And
how old were you at this time?
Man, I think I was about maybe 9 or 10, maybe.
Oh,
I was,
my gosh.
Yeah. Imagine that, 9 or 10 years old, and a stranger tell you to take, cause I guess I surprised them when I came into the kitchen. So they was like, kind of like, you put ice on your mother's chest, and then that's what I did. And that first pain point, that trauma, it really it's an image and a feeling that no matter how many therapists I talk to, whatever, it's something that never leaves you. Your own mother laying there, and you're sitting there rubbing ice on her chest, and you don't know if she's gone or she's here. And then she pops up, and then you realize that your mother and your father is addicted to drugs. And me and my father, we got the same name. I'm a junior. So my father was in and out my life. He wasn't completely gone, but my mother did her best. They both fought addiction. So at that time in Henderson, I lived with my grandmother on my father's side, his mother, while he was out doing what he was doing. My mother was in rehab. And then, like I said in a webinar, on Christmas Eve, I go visit my mother while she was in rehab in northern New Jersey. And my grandmother lived in northern New Jersey. And on Christmas Eve, I get a phone call that my grandmother tell me from North Carolina, Henderson, I can't live with her anymore. So that's how I became a resident of New Jersey. So imagine you go from trauma, abandonment, black sheep of the family. So I was going through a lot of different childhood trauma. With the reason why I connect so well sometimes with students, because the stats say 1 out of 5 kids' father's not in their life. 1 out of 8 parents are addicted to some type of substance, and 1 out of 10 or 12 live with their grandparents. So that's an icebreaker I use when I talk to schools sometimes in different neighborhoods, different environments. And then, I said, kids, don't raise your hand. I'm going to raise my hand for you. But, that's the reason why I'm here, because even though I came from these different environments, you're not a product of your environment. You're a product of your choices. So
man, at that moment, I'm going to stop you right there. I love that because I mean, you've just touched on all these different trauma in your life as a young man, and you never lost that power of choice, though.
Right.
And that's the thing that people lose. They lose that power of choice. And they do. That's pretty powerful what you just said there.
No, thank you. And that's why, I'm so grateful that, because I feel like, everybody got a different type of trigger inside of them to maybe get up, go a little bit harder, maybe, slack up a little bit. So I'm very grateful that I do have this trigger where I can just pop up early in the morning. You know what? That's it. Take a shower, get dressed, go to the gym, and just say, you know what? No matter what I got going on in my life, I'm going to make this one amazing day, right? So I do know I have that certain gift. And some people don't have it. And that's the reason why I have mindset classes and things like that, to be able to give people that belief, give them that mindset, give them that get up and go, right? So even through all of those different things, my grandmother that had to raise me for some of my childhood, of course, while dad and mom trying to get everything worked out, she said, listen, just because you're in this environment and that environment, it doesn't mean that you have to make poor choices. I want you to make better choices. So she kept me in church. She had a part-time job. I used to pick up paper like around, around the buildings that we lived in. Then when I remember I actually saved up money and bought my first car, my first car. So it was a Camaro, and it broke down like every other week. So when I was
but you loved that car, didn't you?
But I loved that car, right? And then me and my friends,
because you bought it.
I bought it. Yes, I bought it. So I always been that individual that I'm gonna find a way to do something. And I do still, even though my mother was struggling with certain things when she, of course, as she was in my life, between my mother, my grandmother, and of course, my father at some points also too, they gave me a certain pedigree that, I still need you to reach for more. I still need you to make sure you stay in school, make sure you connected with the family, do certain things. And I think by me witnessing all the negative things that I was exposed to directly, it allowed me to flip that switch, say, you know what? Nope, I'm going to be a great father. Yep, I'm going to finish school. Yep, I'm going to make sure that I don't do what they're doing. I'm not going to smoke, not going to drink. I'm not going to, do all these other things that I was part of. So that's what happens a lot of times to the youth. But the flip side to that is this: when I talk to schools, they in certain environments, certain things are happening, and then they start to indulge in some of the same things that they're being raised up in, or that's in their environment, or things that they're seeing. So sometimes, it's not the reason why some adults are doing the things they're doing right now. Is because how they was brought up and certain things that they was part of that didn't allow them to say, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I think that's good to do, and I'm going to do it. So for me, moving forward, went on to high school. After high school, went on to college, I majored in engineering, electrical engineering. 2 weeks before my graduation, I got hired as an engineer for GE. Nice. And it was amazing. So imagine coming from Henderson, North Carolina, to now get my degree in electrical engineering. So, it awesome. Wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Like I tell
people. Do you find, I'm curious, David, I'm just, I don't talk about this very often, but I am a victim of child sexual abuse. I wrote a book about it. Right. I didn't tell anybody forever. And then I wrote a book about it and I told the world. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times because of that trauma and because of how much pain that caused, I oftentimes feel like there's this like barometer sort of, and I can't ever go past, I can't ever dip into that negative side. Like you talk all the time about those choices. And, do you feel that same way? Like, because you experience those things, you're like, I don't have any, like my only choice is to stay over here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because if I don't, then I'm going to end up in a bad place.
Exactly. And that's what happened with me, because even as I was a child, before I started making really, better choices, I was acting out, beating up my cousins, getting in trouble because there were so many things happening that I didn't understand. I didn't know how to handle it, digest it. So everybody thought I was going to be the one that end up, in a bad scenario. So as I got a little bit older, I got a little bit more mature. I started to realize, and really, I think what really happened when I went to the big city, don't get me wrong, I definitely love Henderson, North Carolina, but I know that by me being in the big city, it opened my mind up to so many different opportunities that the world has to offer. And then by me, if anybody watching this, if you have kids watching this, I believe in higher education, because what happens is that by me going to Fairleigh Dickinson University, the population was of course, I think it's like maybe 60, 75% of white American. Then it was like 15% of Asian. Then it was like maybe, I don't know, 8%, 9% of African American. And I might be off with the numbers. But the reason why I'm saying that is because it allowed me to be able now to converse with people from all walks of life and to understand them. Because sometimes we see things on TV, on social media, and you have this own perception of what this individual may be, and you're judging them before you actually meet them. And I'm going to be honest with you, come from my small town, Henderson, I did have a kind of like a little cloud on people outside of my demographic, my race, because of the things that was happening to me when I was raised in Henderson. Like there was moments that, I got chased home. There was moments that, people would spray paint things on our shed and stuff like that. But I broke through those barriers when I actually went to college and high school, and I started meeting different people from different backgrounds, and it opened my mind up. And then of course, when I went on to college, and then when I graduated, I started traveling, went over to London, went over to Italy, went over to Australia, all these different places. Amsterdam. I think Amsterdam was really was one of my biggest eye opener, because in Amsterdam, a lot of people ride bicycles. So over in the US, of course, cars, houses, we kind of glorify all these materialistic things. And I seen this couple going on a date to the movies, and the girlfriend or the wife, she was sitting like on the side of the bike, and I guess the guy was driving. And they were just so happy. Like, just I was like, where you guys going? We're going to going to the movies or whatever. And I said, those are the things that we have to appreciate, the simple things in life. Because sometimes we're chasing the wrong things. Sometimes we're so caught up in the everyday, I got to get this, I got to get a different bracket in X, Y, and Z, is that you don't realize maybe you just need to appreciate what you have now. And then other doors will open up, because sometimes we'll get a little depressed. Oh, I don't have this yet, or I'm not here yet. But maybe you exactly
chasing the Mercedes is what
that's
I call
right. You can't chase it.
The Mercedes.
That's right. But I believe this. I talk to athletes and corporations. I say, greatness will never just come knock on my door. It won't knock on my studio door. You have to wake up every day and you have to figure out how to chase your own greatness. Like, I feel like we all have a greatness inside of us. There's a great opportunity for all of us to do great things in life. But when you wake up, you have to have a strategy on how do you chase your greatness. Because if you're chasing something great, there's other doors gonna open up for you that can nobody close, because you're so great at whatever you do that now everybody wants you, because they're like, man, this person's great at this. If you're the greatest person to make buttermilk biscuits, they're going to do what? They're going to come to your shop to do what? To buy your biscuits.
Buttermilk biscuits.
That's right. Everybody's talking about it. Man, I got to get those David buttermilk biscuits. They are absolutely amazing. Now it's going all over social media, going all over. Everybody's been reviews of it. And that's how we got to look at it in our life. So, yes.
David, would you say, like, I mean, when you were talking through that and talking through going to college and small town, you know, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but, you know, 98% of the people want the same thing. You know, they want food, shelter, happiness, love. You know, they want those things. And they just don't know how to get them, you know. And so many of us are just, we fall into conformity of, you know, and we don't have the ability to just see the wrong things and then make the choices to do something different, you know, as we're all kind of sharing our dirty laundry here, you know. I battled addiction. I grew up in addiction you know, raised in a house with addiction, swore I was never going to be that. And then at 25 years old, it was right in my face. And I was exactly that. You know, grace of God, got sober at 25 and started doing the opposite things, but it took me a while, you know, and that's the thing, man. We talked a second ago about the power of choice, and people lose that power of choice, and then they're just stuck, and they're stuck an entire lifetime of not being able to do what you're talking about, you know. So that's what's so cool about what you do, and your message is, man, you're offering people a choice again. Like, hey, you might have lost that choice, but just because you lost it doesn't mean that you don't have it again. So
And to touch on that, one of my mentors, I was watching one of his videos this morning. I was working out, and he said something so powerful. And sometimes it's the most simple thing. He said, "Listen, long as the man above wake me up, that's the only thing I ask for. Now I'm about to get up. I'm about to get it. Because you woke me up now. Because that's the one thing that we just do not have control of. You have no control of waking up. No control. Now, if you wake up, your eyes open, air in your lungs, it's up to you right now to figure out the way to make the best of your life. Because like I talked about there, 160,000 people average leave this earth every day, no matter what. And it's 8 billion people in the world. So people are being born, people are leaving. So that means if you're not in that 160K that left this earth, that means we got to figure out a way to be happy. We got to figure out a way to enjoy what we have. Don't focus on what we don't have. And so, I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but at the same token, though, I believe that there's somebody wish they had exactly this podcast. They wish they had your opportunity, your studio, your house to beat your addiction, to have a brand, to speak across stages and do these magical things. And I think sometimes when we get into a groove on something or whatever, like I was talking to a friend of mine. He was like, "Hey, what do you have going on this week?" I said, "Yeah, I got a podcast today, and then I got to speak in DC tomorrow. Then I said, before I speak in DC, I got to speak virtually in the morning. Then I got to speak in Tampa, and then I got to speak in Arkansas on Saturday, then somewhere else next week." And he said, just let's pause for a minute. He said, "Do you understand what you just said?" He said, you're going from here. He said, "You said that so casually. I don't want you to forget that this is something that you asked for, you prayed for like a very long time ago, and you got it." So he said, because he's an upcoming speaker. He said, that is wonderful for you to be able to have those opportunities to do that. Now, to flip it, that's like somebody working in the post office. They're able to work 40 hours a week, go to every day with their uniform on to deliver the mail and do what they have to do. Now, they have to make a choice when they get there to make the best of it. Smile, deliver your mail, do what you have to do. Because no matter what, that is paying your bills. It's doing something.
Well, so and they're giving people important information that they need. I mean, that's an extremely important thing.
Everybody has a different assignment in life. And if you're not happy with your current assignment, it's up to you to switch it. Like, okay, so when I went to school, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, it's just hitting me right there. We decide what our attitude about what we're doing is.
Right.
And I think often that we flip that and we let what we're doing decide what our attitude's going to be, as opposed to, it doesn't matter. And we've all been there. Like, my dad used to say, you can change your day at any point in the day. So, if you get up, you start having a bad day, it can be as simple as asking God to change your day. And just that right there, change your mindset, because that is the thing. Like, I think all of us on this podcast are probably pretty driven people, and it's never enough. And we always want more. And it always needs to be better. But, along the way, are we taking that time to appreciate what we have? Because if we're not, then we just work our whole lives, and then it becomes our time to be one of the 160,000. And we never appreciated the ride along the way. That's right. Because it really is a great ride. So
it is. It's a great ride, because a lot of people don't have the opportunities to even appreciate, the ride that we have right now. So, So like I said, so when I went to college, I went to GE as an engineer. I did that for about 5 years. And I left there, became a real estate developer, and then also a builder. So I would just buy land, build houses. Then I did it for others. Then I became a licensed GC and a licensed builder. And how I went from this to David Power Talk is that one day I got invited to speak to a school for career day, because a young lady that I went to college with, she became an educator. And she said, "Hey, can you come talk to the school?" She said, "We only got a budget." I said, "Don't worry, I'm going to volunteer my time, And I lived in New Jersey. So New Jersey, I lived by the Giant Stadium. So one of the wide receivers in the Giant Stadiums, he moved out, I moved in, right?
So you're a North Jerseyer. I'm a South Jersey girl.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I grew up in South Jersey. We might as well be in 2 different states, though.
Yeah, I got you. Yes, I was living up by like Secaucus. So, I was, felt like I had the great life, So I went to the school, and I gave this great keynote, and this kid came up to me and said, "Mister, I'm in each one of those categories, and I don't have a friend." I said, "Well, today I'm going to be your friend." And we had a great conversation. Years later, I became his keynote speaker for his graduation. Aww. And then it sparked something in me. That's when I branded myself, and I started to move a little bit in everything that I was doing. And I would say that moment, I guess, as I really talk about this now, between that moment with him walking up to me and her invitation saying, "Hey, can you come here and speak?" That was the first chapter of David Power Talk, motivational speaker, by that invitation. And I realize now that we all have an invitation to do something in life, but it's up to us to accept the invitation and to give it everything we got. Because when I went to the school, I raised about like $1,000, and I gave out T-shirts, and I gave the school $1,000 to help them with whatever they need, with books, supplies, things of that nature. And then I realize now that I talk about this a lot, is that I never really got into speaking for money. I got into it to just help lives, to just talk to a student, talk to an educator, say, "Listen, we could do better. This is where we here. Let's make the community better. Each one teach one." And then from that point, I started to grow it. And then, of course, like I said, I didn't really have a mentor. And then, of course, thoughts came in my mind, and I had lost everything. I went from having $2.5 million in contracts to $7,000 negative in my bank account, my business account. Couldn't make payroll, couldn't do this. Found myself in the garage in my drop top 650 BMW, about to take my own life with some water and a bottle of pills. And to this day, the man above spared my life. And at that moment, I started to just rebuild back each company with small wins, rebuild it back with small wins. And then I went into training as a speaker, became a certified motivational speaker. And so that second or third, whatever, fifth, sixth, eighth pain point of saying that I'm about to give up, but he saved my life and I'm here now, is really where I got the power from. Because I don't even know how I came up with that name, David Power Talk. It was just it just came to me, right? So, people's like, you always trying to give people a power talk, because I'm a very motivational type positive person. So no matter what, you have to be if you're a business owner, because a business owner, it's not for the faint of heart. But somebody run your own business, everybody just, if you're watching this, it ain't for everybody. Just be honest with you, right? This is
true.
So, I would encourage people to do better, do certain things. And I just came up with David Power Talk. And at that moment, I didn't realize, far as how powerful I was in speaking and metaphors and storytelling. Of course, I wasn't that good then. But eventually I was able to step into that role, that title that was given to me without me knowing that I was going to be this dynamic speaker. So fast forward, I got the training, and then I went to some more schools, start going to organizations, rebranded myself, got the logo done again. And I just, then a few years, I want to say maybe a few years ago, I made a decision. I remember I did a video called "You Got to Burn the Boats." I don't know if I talked about that on the webinar. So burn the boats mean there was a group of army men. I think it was I forgot, his name was Cortez, and they were trying to conquer this island. So when he got to the island, all the boats came to the island. He told his captain, tell all the men to burn all the boats. So why are we doing that? He said, because I'm going to make sure we conquer this island and we're not going back where we came from. So he said, okay. And the men was tired. They was sick. Like, they was hungry. So they burnt all the boats and they conquered the island. But he said the main principle about that is that even though you may be tired, you may be weak, you feel like you can't do it, if you give yourself no option that you can't go back where you came from, you just got to burn the boats and you got to conquer that island. So I had to burn the boats, and I said, listen, I make great money building homes and doing people renovations and things of that nature, but it's nothing like me walking off stage. And like, I just spoke to some students out in Gainesville, Georgia, and the kids was just running up to me. Hey, David, thank you. I love you so much. Oh my God, breaking down, crying, because you don't know what these kids are going through. And even adults, like, I get so many people after I speak that just open up to me. Oh man, thank you for sharing that. So I believe one person's transparency is somebody else's transformation. So that's why, Stacy, you got to share your story more, because there's so many women and men that's been through what you've been through. And also you, Casey, that's like, people don't understand addiction is not just about drugs. Like, people are addicted to social media, porn. Like, it's all types of addiction that people just are distracting them from their destiny. So we all have a powerful story that somebody needs, but a lot of people are afraid to share their story, afraid to think that, oh, they're going to judge me. It doesn't matter. You don't worry about the ones that judge you. Worry about the ones that need you to save. To save, yes, exactly. Because if you could save a life and you can change somebody's mind, and they can say, oh, I'm not the only one that went through this. I'm not the only one that dealt with this. Man, and you're still here. That means I can do it. So they're looking at you as an example. They're looking at you saying, yes. I remember, years ago, I was on this tour, and it was called the Millionaire Essential Tour. And I was kind of going through like a transition in business. Things was not really exactly where I wanted to go. So imagine I'm on tour with a millionaire, and I'm talking to people to be millionaires, and everybody on the panel is supposed to be millionaires, and I'm going through a financial, situation. And everybody's coming up to me and was like, man, your message was so powerful. Like, I needed that. And they're sitting there with a Rolex on. They're sitting there, with this. But I just kept the right mindset that, your message, I knew then my message is needed. And because as me as a communicator, as a coach, I got to practice what I preach. And that's why I had to go through that. Because every time I go through anything in my life, I realize now it's just developing me to be a better coach, a speaker, and communicator. Because what I'm going through, like I said, failure is not failure. Failure is only formation. It's only forming me into something even greater. And it's like going to the gym. Like, you don't just go to the gym once and you got it. You got to go over and over and over and over again to form into what you get. So that's how I became David Power Talk.
I love the burn the boat story, because, like, man, I took on that mindset early on in business, and I don't know if it was a mindset or if it was the truth, but man, I convinced myself that there was no other option than to make it. And I had a very young family. Like, I opened my business literally in the same month that my first child was born. So, man, it was like, I was like, this has to work. I don't have a choice. Like, if I've got to work 7 days a week and 26 hours a day, like, I got to figure it out, because it's not just me. Like, I got to feed this baby. So, so I could relate to that. Anyway, I think we got to take a quick commercial break here. Tell everybody about MotUS, right?
Yeah, MotUS. Owning a gym doesn't have to feel like you're pushing the bus uphill alone. Join MotUS, a powerhouse community of gym owners who share, support, and grow together. Inside the MotUS Vault, you'll get ready-to-use templates, fresh resources, and exclusive industry discounts. Plus, your membership includes 2 seats at the MotUS Business Expo in Nashville every year. 2 full days of growth, leadership, and networking, included at no extra cost. Ready to level up your gym game? Join MotUS at joinmotus.com. That's JOINMOTUS.com. So MotUS, David, is you came and spoke for our MotUS webinar. Yes. It was awesome. And we, Casey, myself, and our 2 other business partners, Kevin and Cole, you met them on the webinar. We started MotUS for gym owners. It's kind of just a group of like-minded business owners that help each other, grow. That's really kind of the goal and the intention, I feel like, of it. And it's been pretty cool. We do a conference every September. Maybe we'll be able to bring you in this year. That's kind of how we started. Was
nice.
We were going to have you come speak last year, and then that didn't work out. So we brought you on for the webinar.
Yes, that's right. I remember the conversation.
Yeah. So maybe we'll bring you in person to the conference this year. I can't even imagine listening to you speak in live person.
I love it.
How incredible it was virtually.
Yeah, after the virtual impacted me so much, I called David. He's going to come and do kick off our staff training for Stingrays this summer.
Thank you for the opportunity. I apprate that. Cannot
excited
wait
to get to do that, and then man, I hope we can line it up for MotUS as well.
Yes.
That's the thing. We're just trying to empower and help gym owners, and ultimately to help grow our sport. You talked about it a second ago. I feel like that what we do is very important in the lives of young people, because so many of these kids are struggling and we don't even know it, because they walk in the gym with a smile. Just because somebody has a smile on their face doesn't mean that they have a smile in their heart.
Nope.
So,
yeah, I remember I spoke just last week in Gainesville. There was a student, and the teacher, she came to me after I finished speaking. She said, that young lady, I just talked to her a little bit. She said, within 3 minutes of you speaking, she just broke down in tears. She said, I had to come over there and hug her. And you would have never thought that this little girl was going. She said, I would never thought she was going through. She said, she's a pretty young girl. She's always upbeat. She's always bouncing around. And she's always helping everybody. But she said, as soon as you start speaking, I don't know what part of your story, whatever you said, she said, she just broke down. And I think a lot of times we have so much inside of us and so much on us sometimes that we don't realize that we have to find a way to release and find a way to not allow it to consume us and not allow us to break us down, and it's good to break down and release it and then move on. Because she said she felt better after she cried and she felt better after she released it. So
that's the thing I say all the time. I'm like, I can't live in this space. I can have a moment. I can have a moment and I can let it go, or I can be upset for a minute, but I can't live there forever, because it brings me down. It goes back to that, what I was saying earlier, I'm like, I can't allow myself in my heart to go past the line. So if something is heavy or whatever, like I got to let it out and then I got to move on. And, because I can't, if I simmer in that negativity for too long, or, whatever the case may be, it takes me personally to a really bad place that I don't want to go.
I have to remind myself
go ahead.
I was going to say, I remind myself to get out of the way,
right.
And get out of my own thinking. Usually when I'm going through something or I'm dealing with something, I made that. So, I can't fix that. Right. And the answer, I believe that God speaks to us through many people, and can we just open our ears long enough to hear that message? And, it may be from the most least expected person. I don't know. The example that comes to my head is nothing of any, great. I don't know. We had our all-star director, and this was years ago, and he coached a really high level team. And I'll never forget, they had performed one time and they did pretty well. And then we had this young new coach, and she came up to him and she was just like, I just watched the routine and it just doesn't look like that team. It just doesn't look like Orange. It doesn't look like the way. And in my head, I kind of snickered. I'm like, who is this person?
Right.
And man, he took that in and he went back and they redid this whole routine based off of what a young coach, and went on to have great success. But we never know where that message is coming from. And that was just a cheerleading routine, maybe not the most important thing in life, but things that can save our life, things that can change our life, things that can impact us. If we can open our ears and listen to, we never know who God's going to send that message through. So
I remember my mom passed away when I was 21 years old with cancer. She was diagnosed in September and she died in March. So, I mean, it was really fast. And I was really, and then I was getting married in that next July. So 3 months later, I was getting married and getting ready to start my life. And so my world was blown apart. And, I remember that was very impactful. And I went into a pretty good depression, I feel like, for quite some time. And it was probably a year later, I was at a Dave Matthews Band concert. I'm going to show my age. I don't know who remembers Dave Matthews, but he's fabulous. I still love him to this day. And I went to a Dave Matthews Band concert with my husband and his sister and her boyfriend at the time. And I had not seen either one of them. I feel like she had just moved to North Carolina. They were from New York. And so her boyfriend was visiting and I hadn't seen him in like a year, probably since before my mom died. And we went to the concession stand, him and I, to go get a beer together. And I guess I was just, I don't know. I was in the line, just kind of nasty. I'm not really sure, but I was obviously very negative.
New Jersey girl coming out in you.
Yeah. And he didn't know my mom had passed away. And he was like, "What is wrong with you?" He's like, "What happened to you?" And he was like, "I haven't seen you in forever." And he's like, "And you're just nasty and negative." He's like, "You used to be so much fun." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I remember in that moment being like, holy cow, like he's right. Like I just, I was just like, I don't know. It was just, everything was nasty. It didn't matter. The rocks under my feet, the person in line in front of me, that, it didn't matter. Like I was just bitter and angry and he called me out on it, and nobody close to me, I feel like, wanted to call me out on it, which I understand. They didn't want to hurt my feelings, and they all obviously understood I was going through a lot, and he didn't know that and didn't care and called me out on it. And I remember that next morning waking up and being like, wow, I need to change. I need to change this anger in my heart and find a better way to move forward, because my mom would be very angry with me right now if she was here. So
that message.
That's powerful.
And I know on the podcast, to keep things light, we tell dad jokes.
Is it time? Is it
it's time. It's time for the dad joke.
Yeah, let's let's turn this around and get something funny. We've been telling all of our issues and things that we've been going through. But like you said, pain is power. Anyway, today's joke is from Shane in North Carolina. So I went to the beekeeper to get 12 bees. He counted and gave me 13. I said, "Sir, you gave me an extra." He said, "That's a freebie."
I love it. That's a freebie. Yes,
that's right. That's a little bit different than our normal joke.
I like that.
Shane, thanks for sending that in. But you guys, if you'd like to send us a joke, we use a lot of different people's jokes. So you can email them to Stacy, Stacy @joinmotus.com. or send us a DM on social media @joinmotus. We'd love to share your joke.
Awesome.
So David, you talked about sharing our stories, and I did write a book about my experience. It was a fiction, but I wrote it as fiction because I wanted people to be able to digest it more. I feel like it's a pretty tough topic for people. So I thought as a fiction, it'd be a little bit easier to read. And while I'm not ready to really like go out and about and speak to the world about it out loud, I did write my book, and I do get people that email me often that say, "Man, I read your book, and, my sister went through this, or I went through this, or, whatever." And it's really crazy. I mean, I had one lady reach out one time that said she was in therapy, and she took my book to her therapist, and they read it together, through therapy, and used it to kind of talk through. And I'm like, wow, that's just so, that's really something, and it's special. And I never in a million years, thought that would be what would come of it, but I had one girl reach out and say that she told her family because of my book, and she was like 62 years old. She'd never told anybody, and I was like, wow, that's really something. So I think it's awesome what you do, and the courage that you have to share your story and talk about it. I think it's great. And you're right. I think we all, we talk about social media, and social media can be powerful and very positive in a lot of ways. And it can also be really negative. And I think the world shows the best little snapshots of themselves on social media. And that's what people see. And that's what people think they should be. Right. And we all feel like we should have this perfect little image and not talk about those bad things, that happen to us or that we do, we're all human and we all screw up and we all have had experiences, and you're right. We need to tell people like, it's okay. You can have these bad things happen and still make good choices. Like you said, I love that.
Yes. Definitely. And, go ahead. How'd you go, Casey?
I was just going to say, man, I was just sitting there and I'm looking at your logo and I see that David Power Talk and what you really do. And I don't know, in my mind, what you're doing is you're giving people that power. And I keep using the word choice, but man, you're giving that people the power to make that choice.
Right.
And to change, and to change their life and to understand that, because hearing your story, and this is the second time I've heard it, and heck, I'd like to hear the third and the fourth time, but hearing your story, the odds were stacked against you. Stacy, the odds were stacked against you, like all of us go through these things. And then, what did we do? What, and that's the thing, people like yourself, David, your words are so powerful because then you can give somebody, you're giving them the power,
Yes.
So
and you know what? So I'm glad you said that, because even when I rebranded myself, the guy that did the logo, he sent it to me. As soon as he sent it to me, I was like, that's it. It was the power symbol and the bubble of somebody like speaking or talking. And then what I realized is that what you said, to rewind about the power of the choice, right? Is that, yes, we do have a lot of things maybe stacked against us. And sometimes, like I did this keynote where I said that we all have an invisible book bag. And sometimes people put things in our book bag that don't belong there, that we can't control. Like people put trauma, they put their own hurt on us. They put things in our book bag. And as we walking, we can't get to our destination fast enough because it's weighing us down. So I told them, today, kids, we're going to stop and we're going to identify what things are in our book bag that we didn't put there, because, we can't control what things sometimes people put in there, but we can control pulling the things out of our book bag and putting good things in there. So I showed them, I pulled out trauma, I pulled out mistakes, I pulled out these certain things. So there's a flip side to it. There are certain parts of life that, yes, you can't pick your parents or your pain and you're part of it, right? But then there are certain parts of life where you could have picked the right choice, but you made a mistake, or some things that you just didn't make a good decision, and it brought you to this level. Like when I lost everything, it wasn't my dad's fault, my mother's fault. It was my fault. I was just not giving everything to my business like I should have. I was so busy showing off and traveling all over the world. I wasn't the leader. I wasn't the business owner that I took for granted the opportunity that was given to me, right? So I can't blame nobody but myself. So I encourage everybody that no matter if you're part of somebody's mistake or you made the mistake, still make the power of the choice to say, today is my 180. I will do better. I would think better. And I will work on myself every day. But don't go so consumed that the 180 got to happen like right there. It don't happen it's small steps.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just small steps to it. You get a journal, you get a pen, document the data. Like for me, I'm a data-driven type of person. So I'm in the gym, I'm writing down my thoughts. I'm writing down, what did I do? What did I work out on? What I got to do for the day? Cross it out with a highlighter. Write down the vision, write down the goals, and look at it. Do it again. Put a date on it. What's the slogan for the day? And some of these things may seem, I don't have to do that. But yes, those little small things can really help you out to have a stronger mindset.
The slogan for the day. You know what? I love that. And I'm a huge, everybody, does things differently. I guess different things work for different people, right? Different strokes for different folks. But I love that. And I'm a very much a visual. I actually started, I'm not really like a New Year's resolution kind of person, but I felt like, last year, 2024, I spent a lot of time on me because I had to. I didn't really have a choice. 2025, I feel like I was so focused on doing so much. I don't want to say so much for everything else, but doing so much for all of the businesses that we have. And I was just very busy all the time. And I did not spend as much time on myself. And I feel like I paid the price for that. So 2026, I was like getting ready for this year. And I'm like, you know what? I have to make time. I have to make time for myself. It's important that I do these things. You know, I was diagnosed with MS a couple of years ago, and I have to walk every day, and I have to eat these certain things that I have to, and I got away from, I don't want to say I got away from it completely, but I got away from it, you know, not as much as I should have been doing. So I took the time. I have this binder. I'm super old school. I like digital and technology, but when it comes to planning and my schedule, I like a paper calendar. And I like to color coordinate. I'm just, it's, you know, I don't know. And so I took my paper calendar, and every single month I wrote down like a day for every month to make sure that I track my steps. Obviously I got my like Fitbit, but I wanted to write it down. I wanted to read 2 books a month. I'm like, I'm going to read 2 books a month, and I want to read, you know, a business book every other month. And because I haven't been doing that, and I used to do that all the time. And so I wrote all that down, and I'm a writer. You know, I've written several novels and lots of books, and I haven't written anything, and I don't want to publish anything for a little while. I've said this before. I want to take a break, but I still want to write, and I haven't been doing it. Like I haven't been forcing myself to sit down and just write. So I wrote down, like, I want to try to write 5 hours a week. And I made little blocks. I mean, I literally like hand wrote all this stuff out. Anyway, I say all that to say, because to me, that's helping me stay true to that. So I am going to have my motto, like for every single day. I'm going to start adding that to my little notebook, because I think that will be so helpful for me specifically, you know, to think of that every day and write it down when I start my day.
Well, I think, you know, I used to struggle with working on myself, because I saw that as selfish. And then someone explained to me that is actually the opposite of selfish, and is selfless, because I can't be something for others if I don't take care of myself first. You know, and that's a thing. You talk about that invisible backpack and people loading stuff on us that, you know, I've done that, you know, I've done that. I've done that to loved ones, to my own wife, of like, not on purpose. You don't think about it. It's like, God, man, I can't handle this. I can't deal with it. So I'm just going to load it off on you. You know, and we do that, and we do it unconsciously. But the thing is that I find when you take time for yourself, and it doesn't even have to be a lot of time. A lot of people, sometimes they get overwhelmed and they never start because they look at it as like, man, I don't have time to work out, because there's no way I don't have time to get up in the morning and cold plunge and then work out for an hour and then stretch and then do yoga and then get in the sauna. Yeah, you may not, but you do have 20 minutes to go take a walk. You know, it doesn't take that. It doesn't take that much. And then the thing is, once you make that time for yourself, I think that's when we're able to get rid of those things you talk about in the backpack and start kicking off you know, because we all have 24 hours in a day. And if I spend some time for myself, then that is less time for those negative things to pile up and get in there. So it's just imperative.
That's right. That's like I told my community: make every moment, every minute, every second count. Right. Of course, I'm not saying we're going to get up from 24 hours. We just go, because I believe in balance also too. I believe you need time to rest, to sleep, to manifest. Sometimes I'll sit in my office and turn the lights all the way down. I'll put on the YouTube of just, you know, deep thinking meditation music, right? To clear my thoughts, to clear my mind, because you can't have a mind of clutter and you communicate it. You can't have a mind of clutter and you're whatever position you are in life. You have to do things, like I say, you can't pour from an empty cup. So I ask people every day, what are you doing right now to keep your cup full? Like for me, I like to go to the gym. I like activities. I like doing certain things to keep my cup full. Because if you always are trying to please everybody else and you're living for the job, you're living for your family, you're living for your spouse, you're living for this, you're not living for you. Because you're so concerned about making everybody else happy and being the top producer for either your company or your own company. What are you doing to be the top producer of yourself? Because when you're the top producer of yourself, people can feel that energy. People can feel that, oh, you're a little bit different now. Saying how Stacy, when somebody said, man, what's wrong with you? Like, you used to be so nice and X, Y, and Z. And you know, that for me, that resonated with me, because I remember when I went through my transition, when I first started speaking, I was a little bit more aggressive with my messages, not as just smiley and jokey and things of that nature, because I realized I was using my speaking when I was coming out of what I was coming out of as like a therapeutic session of like fighting off my mistakes and people that hurt me. And people are always like, hey, I didn't put your mom on the floor. I didn't make you lose everything, So that's what in my mind. So I said, what made me become a better speaker is for me to, like you said, I had to make a shift. I had to realize that I had to be my real personality. Like, you had to get back to that real Stacy. Like, so I know that, yes, I'm that funny guy.
Yeah. That can be scary, man. That can be a scary spot, like being the real you. That reminds me of a story early on. I was 25 years old. I'd been married for 2 years and I was getting sober. And man, I had so much fear that because I loved my wife, and I had so much fear that she was going to leave me. And I remember I was working with a sponsor and I was talking to him. And that's where the whole thing, he was trying to teach me to work on myself. Mm-hmm. And, I took this fear to him, and he's like, dude, she probably should leave you. Like, you don't have any, like you don't have any, you don't bring anything to the table. Like your bag is empty, man. Right. And he's like, until you work on you, you don't have anything for anybody else. So you talk about like, man, I'm grinding for my family or my kids or this and that. And that's important. Right. But the reality is, and I think a lot of people don't get this, man, if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't be anything for others. Right. Right. And that's not selfish. It's selfless. So, man, but gosh, I was scared. I was like, what if she doesn't like me? This is, I kind of had to reinvent myself. I had to become a different person. I was motivated to be a different person. And, that was the thing, David. It was like, I was really, really worried that my wife wasn't going to like that new person. I was extremely worried that my friends weren't going to like that new person. And a lot of those, thank God it worked out with the wife piece, but a lot of those friends are not my friends today because, I had to make new friends because they liked me for the wrong reasons. And that's on me. That's not on them. But,
of course. And that's just something I spoke earlier, is that, when I became the speaker, of course, I had a lot of friends growing up. I used to be a president of a bike club. I used to ride motorcycles, and I used to throw Super Bowl parties. I was a very, outgoing.
Super Bowl parties. Who's your team?
Giants. I'm
an Eagles fan.
Oh my God! Well, we're not in the same boat, but we're both sitting on the couch for the playoffs.
We are sitting on the couch, and I'm so sad about it.
You guys could have won that game, man. We got. They need a power talk. That's what they need.
They do need a power talk. They need to get their offense together. It's funny because crazy enough, my neighbor across the street, we moved into our house, 12 years ago, and he's an Eagles fan right here in Tennessee. I had an Eagles shirt on when we were unpacking, and he was like, "You're an Eagles fan?" And he was like, "I'm an Eagles fan." And I'm like, "Really? How random is that my neighbor across the street is an Eagles fan?" We were talking about it the other day, and I'm like, I think they have a locker room problem. That's what it is. They lost their mojo. They do need a power talk. So Nick Sirianni, if you're listening to this, you need to hire David Solomon to come and get the team at David Power Talk so we can get back to winning Super Bowls. Let's go, Birds.
That's right. But yeah, so like you were saying, Casey, is just like, once I start this new purpose on changing lives and being a better version of myself, the people that was so used to my old version, they just start falling off. But then at first I was a little bitter, but then I had to realize it's nothing against them. It's that chapter closed. I'm in a different chapter. They're just not part of this new chapter. So if I want to go back to an old chapter, maybe ride motorcycles, hanging out and doing other things, they're there waiting. But that's not the chapter I'm in no more. I'm in masterminds. I'm in groups. I'm meeting so many different people in my life right now that I'm okay with leaving some old friends or old associates behind to meet new ones. So I think that's it's all part of your growth. If you're just so consumed on staying exactly who you are, you're never going to grow to the best version of yourself.
Yep. I agree. Awesome. Pretty powerful stuff.
I have to ask you one more question before we start our wrap up, because I absolutely love your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
For those of you that are listening and not watching, his shirt says "Mindset is everything." Is that a David Power Talk shirt, or is that?
It is. Yes, it is.
Can you purchase that somewhere?
Yeah, it's on my website, David Power Talk. So I made everything very Easy. You just go to shop and you can scroll through. You can pick out your color, your size.
Excellent.
And we'll send you a shirt.
I'm going to be purchasing one of those today because I really like that.
Appreciate
and if anybody wants to have you come virtually or in person to speak for you, they go to your website as well.
Just go right to my website. Go to davidpowertalk.com. Look at my videos and look at what I've done all over the world. And then once you look at everything, you feel like we'll be a great fit. Go book a call with me. And let's see how I can bring my impact to your organization, your school, or to your team.
I did just that, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
I can't wait, man. Thanks again, man. I'm excited for it. I'm so excited for it. And like burn the boats. Once I burnt the boats, it gave me more clarity as a speaker, and now it's me as a full-time speaker, full-time speaker coach, full-time speaker business. I'm just always grateful for it. So like before we get into those questions, it's like when my friend told me about when I gave my schedule, it kicked me to another gear on saying my goal is to treat every speaking engagement now like my very first one and give it everything I got and just leave it everything on the line. That's it.
I love that. I was going to ask you if this was full time or if you were still doing any building.
I'm full time. I'm God is good. I'm a full-time speaker, full-time business coach. So also I teach people how to be speakers. I teach people how about content and mindset. And also now I am a full-time speaker. So yes, I love it, man. Because, it's, you got to think about it. Like when I was a general contractor, we might charge $15,000 to do a bathroom. And then a profit for the company, it may be $4,000 by the time you pay a plumber, pay an electrician, do all this. It takes you 2 weeks to maybe knock out a bathroom. You got to pull permits. You got to do all these different things, emails, phone calls. So let's say you make $5,000. Now you get a chance to speak, and you can make anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000, $15,000 to speak for 1 hour. It was like, you know what?
A no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I'm going to stop doing those bathrooms.
I love it.
I understand.
I love it.
I understand.
Well, I think we have our last commercial of the podcast coming up, the Pioneers of All-Star Cheer. The Pioneers of All-Star Cheer takes you on a sweeping journey from the first chance of 1898 to the electric high-stakes world we know today. With insider accounts, rich detail, and intimate pioneer profiles, this book pulls back the curtain on the evolution of creativity, community, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. The Pioneers of All-Star Cheer is available now on Amazon and online anywhere books are sold. Learn more at srfabrico.com. That's srfabrico.com.
What a
Casey, you're in that book, aren't you?
I am in that book. That's a great book. So sometimes I wonder.
You know the author, I think, too.
I do. I may have written a foreword for that. Awesome book. We had an awesome celebration this summer of all the Pioneers of All-Star. And if you hadn't checked out that book, you can buy it wherever you buy books. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it directly. Stacy can probably tell you some more spots, but it really is it's a great history of All-Star Cheer, and includes many of the pioneers, not all, but many of the pioneers that got involved in that, and just an awesome read. I know that I felt like I knew everything about All-Star Cheer, and then I read the book, and I was like, man, there was so much I didn't know. So Stacy did a great job on that.
Thanks, Casey, and thanks for writing the foreword. I'm going to turn him into a writer, David. All right. So we end each podcast. This is our new thing for 2026 with a rapid fire Q&A to get to know our guests. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Soccer or football?
Football.
Creme brulee or pudding?
Ooh, creme brulee.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
I love it. I'm a pizza girl myself, personally. The creme brulee or pudding. So was it My Best Friend's Wedding? Have either of you guys recall that movie? It was with Julia Roberts, right?
Yep.
Is it My Best Friend's Wedding?
Yep.
And she decides that she's going to her best friend as the groom.
Right.
And she decides at the wedding that she loves the groom, and she's telling the bride, you're creme brulee and he needs pudding.
Right.
That's always
one of Heather Jones' favorite movies right there.
I love that movie too. I thought, you know what? I haven't seen it in a while. I might have to watch that tonight.
So. Yes.
Well, David, we really, really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your message. You're just such incredible energy. And for anybody out there that's considering working with David, we highly recommend. He's just truly, truly incredible. We really enjoyed his webinar and hope to work with him again in the future.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it, man. And listen, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure for me to be on. Thank you again for having me. You ever want to do it again or you need me again? Hey, guys, please reach out. I love our synergy. I love the energy that we have. What you guys are doing is amazing, and I'm grateful for our opportunity together.
Man, I always feel better after I talk to you. I might start just calling you every morning.
Agree. Seriously.
Okay. Go ahead. Let's do it, man. I appreciate you guys. Definitely.
Oh, too funny. Well, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the MotUS Edge. Check out our shorts, like, and comment. We love to hear from you. Give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook, and X at Join MotUS and TikTok. Sometimes I forget to leave TikTok out. Follow our show wherever you listen to your podcast. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, leave us a comment and tell all of your friends. And hey, if you're a gym owner, join the movement today and sign up for MotUS. Thank you all so much for listening. And we're excited for you to have the MotUS Edge.